Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 5 of our Space Engineers Survival tutorial series, Destination Mars. So in this episode, our goal is going to be to finish off this survival platform, finally. It's now, but I can say with confidence that we are going to finish it off because I cheated a little bit and off camera did some mining over there in our mining hole and salvaged some of those unknown signals. In fact, there's one floating right now to grab some materials to finish things off finally. So coming over here to our basic refinery, clicking on the access port, we have gravel in the refinery itself, but gravel right now to us is basically just a waste product. And if I click here to show every inventory option on our platform, here we have our basic assembler, which now has almost 1900 kilograms of iron in it, which will be plenty to finish things off. So what's left to put on this? Well, one, I want to put a cargo container on here so we have a little extra storage space to place materials. Second, get a H2O2 generator on here to generate hydrogen from ice that we might recover. And then lastly, transfer that survival kit from our pod to our platform so we have one here instead of in our survival pod. So that's kind of what we're looking at doing today. So we are going to start out with our cargo container. So we'll go pull up our G menu, search for that, select our small cargo container, verify that we have the large grid version of it selected, and hit that plus to add it to the build planner. Now heading over here, we have no supplies manufactured yet, so we're going to go ahead and shift middle mouse button to get those into production in our assembler. Now while we're waiting for that to craft, where did that unknown signal go? I suddenly lost it. Maybe I'm dreaming. Okay, I thought we had an unknown signal that popped up, but maybe, I guess not. So we'll just go ahead and we will wait for those materials to process. If we want to take a look at the progress, we can click on our access point, go up here to the production tab, and we can see where our assembler is in the process of creating those. A fair amount from the looks of it, but it shouldn't take too much longer to get those done. Now while we're waiting, another thing we might explore in this episode, depending on how time goes, is you'll notice down here there is a marker for RTAL Field Research Outpost. In Space Engineers there are AI factions that will crop up every once in a while with waypoints like that. These can range from neutral factions like this to hostile factions such as space pirates, and once you get your reputation up with these different factions, you could even have friendly relations with them as well. So it sounds like our assembler is done, so middle mouse button to withdraw all our components. Find our cargo container sitting on here. Oop, there it is, I passed it. Number 6. Snap that cargo container into place, break out the welder, and start welding. Alright, so now we have a nice storage location for all our stuff. I really don't have anything to put in my inventory. However, if I recall correctly, wandering back here to the seat in our escape pod, oh yeah, we got plenty of stuff in there. So I'm going to go ahead and just click on all of that stuff to collect it. If you wonder how everything popped over there so fast, if you hold shift and just hit the mouse button, it will transfer all these things in stacks of 100. So that's how I flipped it back so quickly as I did. Now I'll pop out of here. It's getting dark, so I'm going to flip our lights on. And come over here, go to the cargo container, and then if I hit this, we'll deposit most things in there. Now notice all the personal items such as tools and the credits and so forth did not transfer, so I'm going to have to go ahead and transfer those manually. And again, like before, I can just if I hold the control button, I can transfer them in stacks of 10. And it looks like I've got 2 of those enhanced welders, so if I right mouse button and drag it, I can separate the stack, and I only want to transfer one of those. Alright. So there's the stuff transferred from our survival pod, because eventually we're going to disassemble that most likely. And now we have our cargo containers. The next thing we want to construct is our H2O2 generator. Yeah, it is O2 first. So it's O2 H2 generator. I say it backwards for some reason. But there's our O2 H2 generator, and we just want the basic one. There is another version of it available from one of the DLCs, but this is the one that comes default as in the base game. So we'll add that to the build planner. And once again, get our components under construction for it. So we'll just let that go ahead. Again, if we want to monitor the progress of the production, a decent amount of stuff that we're going to have to wait for that assembler to get it done. As I mentioned, our destination right up there is Mars. So what that's going to require is we'll work on, once we get this done, we'll work on getting mobile, building a small grid ship that we can move around the planet with. Probably give it some mining capability. We're going to be looking for ore deposits so we can get something besides stone, because we can't get all the materials we're going to need from strictly mining stone. We're going to have to build some form of atmospheric spaceship, basically, to get us from planet to orbit, and then we'll have to build a ship big enough that we can get a jump drive on it, so we can warp to Mars, because otherwise it would take forever just going in standard running. So that's kind of the overall time frame, or the overall pathway that we're going to take. Alright, sounds like our assembler is done, so we'll grab those components. Scroll through, and I don't think I have an H2O2 generator on the toolbar. I do not. So I'm going to go to an empty toolbar right now, bring up the G menu, go to Character Tools, grab my welder. I always like to keep that on slot 1 of my toolbar. Come back here, punch in O2, drag this down, and that will cue that up. So we want to attach it right next to the cargo container. Notice the H2O2 generator, it has 2 ports on either side like this, and it also has a port on each end. Okay, now the way I'm going to set this up is I'm going to set it up vertically and connect like so. Okay, so there's our H2O2 generator in place, or O2H2. I will always forever say that backwards. But we're going to go ahead and get that welded up. And we now have the O2H2 generator in place as well. The last thing we wanted to get placed in this episode is we want to take care of our survival kit. So I'm going to bring that up on the G menu. Except I'm not going to add it to the build planner, because we have most of the components we're going to need on the survival kit that is in our pod. But I'm going to drag it and drop it here. And then I will use the 10 key to clear that. Now we are going to go down to our survival pod. Double check our survival kit. Yep, we do have some gravel in there, so I'm going to grab that and get that out of there. Break out our grinder, and we are going to grind down our survival kit. Alright, so we now have no survival kit, so now is not a good time to die, because you will have no place to respawn, and will end up having to restart basically with another pod. So I'm going to go over to the toolbar that has our survival kit on it, bring that up, and drop it in here, and I'm going to rotate it. The survival kit has a port on either side, nothing on top or bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate that so we have this port matching the port on our H2O2 generator, and we want to make sure that the screen is pointed towards us, because that is going to be our access point. So I'm going to go ahead and place that. I'm going to break out my welder, briefly click the left mouse button to place all the components. So now if you look at the right hand side there, you'll notice all the components are placed except for a few steel plates, and that's what we have left for this particular block to get it constructed. So I'm going to right click to add those remaining components to the build planner. I am going to click the 0 key, and now I can actually access that terminal through the unfinished survival kit. So I'm going to go ahead, shift middle mouse button to begin that process of building. And again, if I want to look at my production, I can take a look. And another thing I'm going to do while I'm waiting for those to build is I am going to take our gravel, scroll over here, find our basic refinery, and I'm just going to dump that gravel into that refinery. Okay, so now our steel plates are done. I'm going to grab those components, and I'm going to go ahead and weld up that survival kit. Alright, so that survival kit is now welded up, and I can get energy back from it now, but notice I'm not getting any hydrogen back from it. That's because my O2H generator does not have any ice in it. So the next thing we're going to do is kind of jog down here to finish things off. Going to grab our hydrogen bottle, our oxygen bottle, and all our ice from our generator here on our survival pod. Bring it over here. Going through the survival kit, scroll down here and look for that H2O2 generator. And we're going to drop all those items back into the one that's now on our platform. So now if I go to the survival kit and press and hold that left mouse button, notice that both my energy and my hydrogen got recharged there. Okay, one final thing I'm going to do to kind of wrap up our platform here is I'm going to go ahead and add another row of blocks to this area here so we have more direct access to our cargo container. Because notice the way I did build things here, our cargo container is kind of blocked at the moment. So I'm going to go over here to the survival kit, click on its access point, and go to production. Now, since the survival kit is also capable of creating components, it's also listed as a possible manufacturing point. So if I want to use their basic assembler, what I'm going to have to do, accessing the survival kit like this, I'm going to click on this drop down menu, and then I'm going to directly access the basic assembler. So now I'm using the assembler instead of the survival kit, and notice I've got all those newer components or more components that I can utilize. And I'm just going to go ahead and queue up 4 steel plates. Go to inventory, grab those steel plates from the basic assembler. Notice since everything is piped up, I can reach that basic assembler even through my survival kit. Now I'm going to go down here and I'm going to place 4 more steel blocks, or 4 more blocks right here, and then back up the ramp over to here. Now I can easily access the cargo directly from there. Okay. And if I go ahead and click on production, again we have the options of our basic assembler as well as our survival kit. Okay, so that basically wraps up the construction of our survival platform. Okay, so one final thing we'll do before we wrap up this particular episode, we're going to go and check out this field research outpost. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm going to go in here. I'm going to grab my hydrogen bottle to be sure I've got enough juice to get from point A to point B. And we're going to go for a little flight. So this field research outpost is basically it's a small base that has been built by one of these extra factions. So we're just going to take a quick flight over here. I forgot to time this video, so I'm not sure how far into it we are. But I'm just going to go and take a quick look over here. Now some of these sites you will have full access to. You'll be able to get into them and do different things. Other sites will be limited access until you get better relations with the faction. Now notice this says it is neutral signals, which means this is a neutral faction to us. They neither like us nor dislike us, which in all likelihood means we, depending on exactly what this station is, we may or may not have access to it. If this is a trading station, we might have some access. If it's not, we probably won't. So if I just touch down here on top of it, notice they've got some defenses in the form of this little turret here, anti-personnel turret. They are very nasty if they decide to shoot at you. So we can come over here and just check out the base itself. It's not a bad little base. Where is the way in? Okay, there is an entry point. So I'll drop down there. So click on it, access denied, which means I don't have a good enough standing with this faction in order to gain access to their base. So unfortunately, unless I want to make an enemy of them and start grinding doors, I'm not going to have any kind of access to this base right away. Over time, maybe if I find ways to improve my relations with them, I would be able to get in here. Now, some stations you'll find are trading stations that have places where you can buy and sell different things. One of the things that I've been transferring around in our inventory is space credits. So it's possible to get credits to purchase different things. So if you have like an ore or a material or an ingot that you haven't found yet or haven't refined yourself, there is the potential to purchase it. Another aspect of the game is you can also do missions. So there be missions like, so you might get a contract to supply some iron ore to a faction. You know, in each of those missions you complete successfully, you'll be able to increase your standing with that particular faction. However, unfortunately, this does not appear to be one of those types of bases, and so thus we won't be able to make any further progress with that. Another thing over here that I want to take a look at is our ice lake. Ice will become very important when we work to go to space because we will need hydrogen for our thrusters. So over here we have a nice ice lake, and this is probably a good place to locate our base when we begin the process of building that. So in a couple 3 episodes, probably when we decide to start building a base, this ice lake will be a good place to do so. Okay, the next thing though we are going to do in the next episode is we will go ahead and get ourselves a little more mobile. We'll begin the process of building a mobile vehicle. One thing you'll notice is this is very rugged terrain, so what we're probably going to end up building is some form of airship. I think since we're near it, I'm going to go ahead and grab this unknown signal for the sake of getting the supplies or the components that are present on it. And then once back to our base, we will probably call it a day. So drop down here. Ooh, this is another good one. It's got one of those nice hydrogen thrusters on it. Terracotta grinder, so a different skin for my grinder, which is kind of nice. So break out the old grinder here, begin the process of kind of grinding things down. There's our cargo access point, I think, so grab this. Not a whole lot in here, but we'll take it. Claim the grid. And just begin the process of grinding stuff down. What I really want to make sure I have enough space in my inventory for is the components for that large hydrogen thruster, because there's a fair amount of stuff in there. There we go. Now if I can't fit the rest of it, that's okay.
Inventory full.
Inventory full, as I just been told. That's okay. We'll just leave this here. We're not going to worry too much about that. So back to the base. Where we will look at one more final thing and then call it a day. Something just caught my eye. I want to see if it's anything. Ooh, okay, this caught my eye. So this is a surface ore deposit. So contained within this rock is some form of interesting ore that we will likely need before all is said and done. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring up my mining drill, because my mining drill has some ore detection built into it. And so this particular rock is a nickel deposit. Not as useful to us as some other deposits because we can't get nickel from stone, but you can get a lot more nickel from the raw ore than you can from mining stone. So since we found this, what we're going to do is I'm going to call up the inventory by hitting the I key, and then as you scroll across these tabs here, you'll notice the one on the far right is labeled GPS. So this basically shows us a list of all the GPS markers that we have on our map. So one is our respawn pod, one is that station that we just found, and another one is some unidentified signal that is, I think, something like 6,000 kilometers away, which we're definitely not going to take a look at right now. What we're going to do here, though, is we are going to click down here, New from Current Position, and then I'm going to come up here, remove this, and then I'm going to call it something useful. I'm going to call this surface, oops, if I learn how to spell, there we go, surface nickel. Okay, so now we have a marker point to reference if we want to go to this boulder to mine some nickel. Now, what I'm going to do is, it says down here, show on HUD is selected automatically. I'm going to go ahead and clear that because we're not really interested in that right now. So we have found our first surface ore deposit, which is handy. A lot of ore deposits are underground, and they can be hard to spot. Next episode, I'll probably take a look at how you can spot subsurface deposits like iron, nickel, cobalt, all the other different raw materials that we work with. Would help if I went to the right spot. There we go. All right, click on our cargo container, and I'm just going to go ahead and dump, use that button there to drop all the stuff in there. Notice this is a med kit, so I could use this if I get injured at all. That doesn't automatically transfer because it's a character thing, so I'm going to go ahead and just manually drag and drop that. Scroll down here, find our O2H2 generator, and drop our bottle back in there, which will automatically refill for us. Okay. So that is a wrap on today's episode. The final thing we're going to do, I guess I shouldn't say it's a wrap yet. The final thing we're going to do is we're going to go in here and create another GPS marker from this position. And we are going to label this one Survival Platform. Okay, so that way, once we do get mobile and we start exploring around, we will have a marker to guide us back to our platform, because once we fully disassemble it, the marker for that survival pod will not be there. Okay, so with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a day. I will juice myself up so I'm all set, ready to go for the next episode. And I will say have a great one, and I'll catch you next time.